Let's look at how you can get favorable valuations. There are certain things that you got to do to make sure that the valuations come in favorable. As I explained earlier in this example, that if you don't do that, you'll be out of pocket and you'll be short of cash if the valuation comes in lower, which basically means you have to go and get mezzanine finance, as discussed in the video in the videos that were under the development finance section. So all these things get triggered. So if you're getting a valuation done, make sure that you're taking in all the measures that you can take to make sure that the valuation that comes in is favorable and you do not have to fork out more equity or inject more cash in the project. So let's look at this. The first thing you got to do is get your own valuations. And the way you can do that is always ask the lender what are the valuers that are on their panel, and approach the valuer directly. And you tell the lender that, look, I'll arrange the valuation, and the valuation would be assigned to the lender, basically from the valuer of one of the valuers who are actually on their panel. So once you do that, you get in touch with the valuer yourself, and you talk to them and you engage with them directly to understand where they're coming from and what's happening. It's good to even actually go and see them. I've not actually gone to see them for a couple of deals, but there's one coming in and I would want to go and see them for that deal. Also, I would also want to make sure that both myself and them are on the same page, because they will ask you for everything, all the off-sale, off-the-plan contracts. They will ask you for bill contract, every expense that you incurred so far, starting from even as little as the little conveyance fee that you paid. They will ask you for all those details. They might even ask you for a copy of all invoices that you've had. So all these things will come into play. So discuss their valuation methodology and feasibility assumptions with them. Make sure that you've done your exercise in your financial feasibility application that you've got with the course, so you know where you are sitting at. When we were discussing, when we were going through the video in the financial feasibility module, I explained how you can play with the residual value of land so that you know exactly where you are at. So discuss that. Address key comparable sites that you have considered. Make sure you do that, because it is good that both of you have considered the same valuation sites. And the reason for that is that if you want him to be on the same track as you are on, so that you both get a similar valuation, or he gets the valuation that you want him to get. So it's your job to actually guide the valuer step by step into the direction you want him to go. So prepare your project report. They love it. I have presented this project report to the valuer, although he still didn't give me anything, but I still did that, and he loved it because we spoke for about an hour or so. And look, I got $200,000 more in valuation just by talking to him, and the reason for that is there was some history that he didn't know about the site, which I discussed with him, and otherwise he would have considered it lower. But I still wanted a little bit higher, so that way I assumed that I've got a little bit lower. But anyway, make sure you've got your financial feasibility, rental appraisals, comparable sales, supporting documents that back your feasibility assumptions. So all those things they will love. So that project report is paramount. Questions to assess your valuer. You should always ask them, have they valued similar projects? Which ones have they valued similar projects in the same area? How do they perceive the supply and demand in that area? What are their views on the market in general? So make sure you do that. Ask them about their perception of rental rates. What sort of feedback are they getting from other lenders? Assess where the value is at in terms of the suburb of your project, similar projects, and their general perception of the project. So these are certain things that you can do to make sure that you get a favorable valuation, and you don't have to inject a lot of cash in the project.